Good morning. Once again, it is the 25th of May 2019, and this we will talk about. In this session, we will talk about lines and basic drawing. It will not be simply some line exercise. It is not just drawing scribbling some lines, vertical, horizontal, and leaving at that. There is no point doing that. For you to learn drawing properly, you must put your heart to it. In other words, you must be sensitive. You have to be sensitive to the line. You have to be sensitive to light, shade, shadows. I mean, to the micro level. It's summertime here, and the bougainvilleas are in full bloom. And like I was saying, that you have to be sensitive even to the minutest shades and shadows. For instance, you have a stem here, this stem, okay, light is coming from my left. So this line would be slightly lighter than this line. This line would be darker. This leaf here, this petal of a flower will begin from dark and come out and become darker here and lighter. So in other words, you have to be sensitive to light. This exercise is meant to make you sensitive to light. It is not simply that you draw some lines. Of course, in the bargain, you will have some practice of drawing lines so that you can draw straight or you can draw a curve the way you please. The primary objective of this exercise is to develop the sensitivity in you, to be very keen, to observe detail very keenly, keen observant. How many times you have been zooming past through these lanes and by-lanes and roads and never observed the individual house, the individual detail of a house. I mean, that's a different story. They are not worth looking and all that. But again, have you? No, we normally zoom past and not observe the detail. So this exercise and the following exercises, of all of them, will deal with making you sensitive. So begin being sensitive. Sensitive means walk through the lawns, you might see some minute flowers in the lawns. They are very small. And then you look at these things in minute detail. And then you can ask a question, there are 3 petals and there are 3 stamens, why 3? What is the relationship between the height of this and the spread of the petal and the length of this and the length of that? You see, so you are looking at very minute things. Though this habit of looking at minute things is what is going to develop that sensitivity in you. Normally we are cruel, we don't care, very, very sort of laid back attitude, and we just observe things, we go to beaches and, don't even look at the small shell, So, with these few words, I would like to halt now and continue with demonstrating each and everything for you, for which I need to shift my camera a little bit. And then the following will be drawing demonstration plus with some exercises for you to do at home, should you wish to develop some basic drawing skills. Thank you. Good morning. This is Haji from beyondarchitecturehaji.com. This is in continuation of our line, the study in lines. We begin by writing line. At least we can write it, and as you can see, the way I am going about writing it, there's always difference in thicknesses and thinnesses and lightness and darknesses and all that. That makes it a little bit more interesting. Now there are a number of qualities to lines, depending. But the first one is that a line has a beginning and an ending. Lines are always drawn firmly, loosely, however you want, but you must show the beginning and the end. The beginning and the end in any direction you want. The beginning and the end must be marked. There is no point drawing lines like this and leaving it, unended, or you draw a line this way, or even in verticals or in curves. Doesn't make any sense, especially when you are into architecture, and when you are into architectural drawing especially. Suppose you have to draw a square like this, and if you are drafting or drawing, yeah, at least during that time, it is easier to cross these lines wherever you have to cross them, rather than, you will have to go slow here, and your speed is reduced as you get to this line here in trying to touch this corner. So it's better that you cross them and you have your lines as definite lines. So in any direction, any way you draw a line, vertical, horizontal, let not it be something like this. What is this? Somebody draws a square like this, this way, and they say this is a square, and how will I measure it? How will I know what? So therefore, this is precision drawing. Now you can relax these rules as you get into some artistic work, maybe sketching and all. But as far as drawing is concerned, this way you develop some control over your lines. So that was point number one. Point number two is that draw your lines in one stroke. A lot of students I have seen, people draw a line, draw a square, this, and they keep scribbling, go over the lines, and this basically, even then, even if I try to draw it ugly, it doesn't come out. But never draw lines this way. Always draw your lines in one stroke, single stroke. And as you draw these strokes, the longer they are, then you have to go from your finger movement to your wrist movement to your elbow movement. The whole thing moves from the shoulder. Like a robotic arm, you have to move the shoulder. So please do not fix your hands onto the table and onto the chair. Always keep it very light. If you wish, you can take a small little piece of paper, keep it under your hand so that you do not mess up or you do not smudge your work. The perspiration, the wetness of your hands, and all the dirt. But other than that, this hand should be very, very free. Draw your lines in one stroke, in any direction you want. Just draw your lines in one stroke. Okay? Now, the third point is cross your lines. Cross your lines. Anywhere you draw at any intersection, it is easier to cross your lines, especially when you're drafting. If they are straight lines, whatever lines do you have, just draw them in one stroke and then cross them a little bit, a wee bit of a crossing. Doesn't matter. Do not cross them, crossing is just a little bit, a wee bit within the thickness of the line. That will be okay. But not, leaving this and all of that. That will be too much. So this is the thing. Number 4, and one of the most important that I wish to enumerate a little bit more than the other ones, is that you must have line values. Your lines must have values. Values means light, dark, thick, and thin. And within this you can have a range of lines. There is no line which should be even lines. This is only allowed perhaps in drafting or where you require this kind of a line. But a line should always have some value. It has to have lightness, darkness, lightness, darkness, lightness. In any direction you go, light, darkness, light, dark, light, dark. This light and dark is basically reflecting how sensitive you are by looking at things, where you feel that there are darker areas, shadowy areas, and so on and so forth. So, the basis of this, you please assume this, please learn this part very carefully. Now, for example, if you have this particular pen here, okay, this particular pen, keeping it anywhere, or for that matter, flower, this pen is not sitting in a dark place. There is a source of light to this. So even for minutest things, please assume a source of light. For example, if the source of light is in this direction, then you draw this light, you go to dark, then it gets darker because it gets away from the source of light. Similarly, on the other side, the line will be dark to darker to the darkest. If it is a curved surface and the source of light is this, then it will be light, it will go and become dark here. Similarly, light to dark. If you are drawing a flower, for instance, with a few petals, one way you can draw a flower is simply go and do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something in the middle, and give it a tail that way. This is one way of drawing it. The other way would be the same thing. If you are sensitive to a source of light, then that will add a third dimension to it. So you just watch the way I am doing this one. For example, the source of light is this. Light is hitting here. It goes and becomes dark. It remains light. It becomes slightly darker. Then it will be perhaps dark here, and then it becomes light, and then becomes dark and very dark here. This is facing the sun, light, and it becomes dark, 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 and then it becomes light. This will be totally in the darkness, and it gets into light, and it becomes lighter. And then this again from dark, it becomes very light, and then a little bit dark here. This center portion, and then if at all there is a stem to this, then this stem will remain light and darker, and then this will go darker. Now you can see that just by adding line values, you create some three-dimensionality between these two. You can take it to some geometric shapes also. For example, if there is a cube, and there is a source of light here, then the place closest to it will be light. It will go become slightly dark. From there it will become slightly dark to more dark. Okay, same thing this side, slightly dark to more dark to slightly more darker. Okay, this will be from dark to very dark, to very dark, to dark, light to dark, light to dark. Now as you can see, there are so many line weights to this. Now I am not considering, for example, reflected light, which if it is sitting on a table here, and light is falling here, so there will be a certain amount of reflected light going back and hitting this surface and this surface here. So those details we will cover in some other exercise. But suffice to understand that you have to apply this rule to the minutest of detail. If you are drawing a little twig, and it's something like this, little twig here, okay. If it is a twig and it has got some little branches going out, out of it like this and this, Now, always apply a source of light, even as small as something like a human hair. So you will have, this will be the light area, it keeps light, and then the one in the back gets dark, and then it starts getting light again, and this gets dark and continues with dark to darker, whereas this will be light, slightly dark to light, and so on and so forth. You can see that, it has got the capacity to create, you're working in the third dimension, actually. So it is being very sensitive to anything that you are drawing. A little flower, a little leaf. If you are drawing a leaf, right, then again, do not forget a source of light to that. Okay? Always remember, source of light, it will be dark, becomes light, becomes slightly darker, keeps light, dark, okay, then dark to slightly lighter, and then dark like that, and then this will come out light, and then gets dark again here. So as you can see again, by just manipulating the thicknesses of lines, we are creating something in the third dimension, 3 dimension. So these are the basic rules of drawing lines. Another point that I would wish to emphasize here is number maybe 4 is don't go over your lines twice. Go over your lines twice. In other words, if you have drawn a line here, and then don't go over it again. This will kill it. It's nothing like a fresh line. You can see the difference. A fresh line. So don't go twice over any line whatsoever. Draw another line, but don't go over it twice. It basically kills the freshness. If this is so fresh here, and if I draw another line, similar line, and then go over the one, this way and this one here, it just again, and even now, it's a stage in my life where I want to draw dirty lines and I can't. But again, it ruins the freshness of a line. So we normally do not go. Of course, you can go over very light lines, guidelines you can draw and go over them, and so on and so forth. And while you draw your lines, mind you, you should be free right from your shoulders, down to your elbow, to your wrist and the finger movements. And you should be able to turn the pencil correctly. Please watch me. This is point number 5. Turn your pencil. In other words, when you draw, this pencil has to turn in this hand here. So if it is a small line, it has to go one round. If it is a longer line, it has to go same one round. You can't go more than one round, so the speed increases. So if you have a very lengthy line, or if you are drawing faster, the same one round you can go maximum. So any long line, you have to go slower, so that for long lines, so that you are turning it. Not turning and working on the same face of this pencil will normally make it look thicker and thicker, and the lines become thicker and thicker. So you don't want that to happen. You see how am I turning? You see how am I turning? Now many people hold the pencil like this. See, that is bad. Many people hold it. You can't turn. You just simply can't turn. Many people hold it very tight like this. Don't hold it like that. Keep it open. It is between these 2 fingers only drawing. The third is just to assist. This third is the third middle finger is to only assist, and it just turns in the fingers. Just every line should turn and then come back. Turn, come back. Turn. Again, you're constantly turning and you're doing this. So you get habituated. You get used to drawing lines. So point number 5 is turn your pencil anytime, especially pencil. Now pencils also, type of pencils. Pencils, I am using a charcoal pencil because it is the softest. But pencil, the medium range is called an HB. As it gets softer, it goes to the B range, all the way till about 9B. You can buy pencils as dark as 9B. And again on the lighter range, you can go to H and 2H all the way to whatever H, 9H. These pencils are hard, these pencils are soft, and this is the medium one. It is HB, H and B. Summertime, pencils get softer, so we can get down from say 9B to 2B. Winter time, the lead gets very hard. I normally don't use these pencils at all. I rather use one of these pencils and don't press it that hard unless I am into some serious drafting. Even then, I will use a 2B lead with a 0.5 millimeter clutch pencil I will use for drafting. And for sketching, it's such a thing. This is all lead. This whole thing is lead. So, depending on how sensitive I am, I can draw very thin lines with this, very thin lines. Draw your lines in one stroke. And I can draw thick ones also. Thin ones, thick ones, from very thin to very thick, to thicker, to thicker, to thicker, very thick. You can go. So it gives you a range of lines and lightness and darkness. So finally the idea here is to develop some sensitivity with your lines based on a source of light. This was about pencils. Papers, I am drawing on an A4 Xerox paper. You can have exclusive papers like these papers, This is a nice handmade paper, slightly expensive. The rougher the texture, the better it is for the pencil. Pencil, there's if you look at the surface of any paper, the surface of a paper is like this. It is rough. So a pencil works very well over it. It kind of, abrases it and it will give you a good quality. Smooth paper, this pill will slip on it. So you will not get any darks and lights out of it. Now on to a few exercises that you may wish to do and practice on it and try to be sensitive. Like I drew a flower in the other direction, here please watch these exercises. Take a sheet of paper. I prefer A2. You can take an A3 or whatever, as long as I'll draw it smaller. Take a sheet of paper, A2, A3, nothing smaller than A3, and then divide it up into say 9 boxes. Let's see some boxes here. Into 9 nice boxes so that you can begin. So you have these boxes, if you can see there, these 9 of them you have on a sheet of paper. Now each of these boxes should be as large as this. You do not need small TTBT lines. So suppose this is one box. In one box you will start drawing horizontal lines, which are just begin horizontal line, turn the pencil and stop and definite end. So all of these beginnings and endings should be visible. Again, the next line, I am looking at even lines now, as close as possible, and a definite ending. Definite beginning, go, definite ending. Do all of this as much as you can till you develop control. The idea is to stop at these lines. These are guidelines, guidelines. This could be at least, 6 inches into 6 inches size, nice big boxes. This is even lines. Now, next box, I repeat, you will go from light to dark. Go from light to dark. Light to dark. Another box. Dark, light, dark. Dark, light, dark. Please do not go space them wide and finish it off fast. You can please maintain hairline distance between the two lines. Definite beginning, hairline, hairline. Go slower, slide it nicely. Sorry, it was dark, light, dark. Next line could be light, dark, light, light, dark, light, light, definite beginning, light, dark, light, definite ending. They all should end very nicely. They should all begin very nicely. The spacing should be very even. And above all, the transitions from say dark to light or light to dark, the transition should not be that you draw dark and then you go light and then you go dark again. No, or light, dark, light. This is totally a mistake. The transitions should be very smooth. Dark, light, dark. Light, dark, light. So you fill up as many boxes with these in horizontal lines. The same thing you would want to repeat in vertical lines, which is, allow me to adjust please. Can you see? I hope you can see, yes. Vertical. Even lines first, turn your pencil. You can see how I am holding my pencil and how I am trying to turn it. Dark or even line. Stop wherever it has to stop. Dark. Go slow, it will be a little bit crooked. Don't go over your lines twice, the same line that you have drawn. Leave it if it has gone crooked. Next would be light, dark, light. Light, dark, light. Light, dark, light. Then dark, light, dark. Dark, light, dark. Dark, light, dark. Similarly, fill out as many boxes of 6 inches into 6 inches. Fill it out and go with very small gaps in between. Do not go here and there. Space them out too much at all. Now the next will be in various directions. I need not waste time in trying to do all of them for you. You can please listen and do it. One is you do diagonal lines this way, which is you can go this way. Okay, then this also in dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, and so on. You can go diagonal that way, dark, light, dark. Please do not go around the thing, do not turn the paper. Everything has to be stationary. You practice dark, light, dark, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. You can go slower, light, dark, light, and so on. After this, in another box, again, it's a bunch of exercises that you may have to do. Is try to go from the center outward, even lines, okay, even lines, then dark, light, dark, staying in one place, dark, light, dark. Then the next one is light, dark, light, light, dark, light, light, dark, light, very close to each other, very compact. I'm just, for the sake of explanation, I'm keeping them apart, but you should be as close as, this, like that. Dark, light, dark, dark, light, dark. But you have to stay in one place and draw. For example, these lines will have to go that way. If you understand, if you can see from where, these lines have to go that way. So, one exercise you do it going away from the center, take another, take a square, and from the sides, go to the center. Come from the outside to the center, and maintain close, even lines. Then again, light, dark, light, light, dark, dark, light, light, dark, light, sorry, dark, light, dark, dark, light, dark, dark, light, dark, dark, light, dark. Don't worry if you are slightly off here and there. The only thing is you must concentrate on keeping your line quality nice and crisp. So these are a few exercises that if you do, you will start developing some sensitivity to it. Finally, after going through all of these exercises, it will be time for you to be able to draw perhaps a leaf and a flower. Okay, I will demonstrate here again. I have showed you before. Maybe you have a leaf, a couple of leaves, or let's compose a nice one, leaves, and then you have a flower coming out of it, or maybe more than one flower, and then some other leaves, and then there is a stem to it, and perhaps it gets thicker and thicker. I'm just exaggerating here for the sake of showing it to you, how to work with this. And then there are these 3 leaves and so on. Again, a source of light, light to dark, dark to darker, dark, light, dark, dark, light, dark, 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 darker, light, dark, dark, light, dark. So as you can see, here it becomes darker, and here it will be dark all the way here, and that will be light. This line will be, I can't draw it with this, but again this will be dark to light, light to dark, dark to light to dark, light to dark, light to dark, light to dark. Okay. Similarly, this leaf will be light, become dark, dark into darker, and as the leaf goes, and again slightly dark to light, to dark to darker. Now, this will be of course light, this will become dark. Now you see, you've come to a point where you can even show a trunk like this, like source of light. So how high it is, how low it is. In some other drawing class I will address that. But it will go light to dark, light to dark, light to dark. This is another technique, and it shows that the roundness, the surface of the plant, the trunk, and as it goes higher, the curve increases. So you can give a few effects like this. Perhaps this again is sitting in a pot, This is a pot. I just, I've gotten in the corner here. This is a pot. Again a source of light. You have light to dark, dark to light. This will be dark, dark to light, slightly dark to light. If there is any edge to it, this will be dark to light, and so on and so forth. Then if this is sitting on a table somewhere, some corner, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, line exercises, and hope to see you in my next video, which will be about design, the rules of design, the principles of design, and the elements of design, and I will illustrate similarly. Thank you very much.